guys, welcome back to the Homies Advice. Today we're gonna talk about a couple different things. Not too much as far as the deep stuff that I was gonna talk about. Hopefully soon we're gonna talk about some like relationship type vibes. But for this podcast, anyways, it's something that I kind of thought about and then forgot and then thought about and then forgot and kind of forgot to write it down. So this one is pretty much what I was thinking a little bit ago, and I was like, man, oh damn, you hear that sound? Hopefully you don't hear that sound, but there's somebody coming in and the sensors catching them. What I was gonna say is, not sure if I'm gonna name this podcast this, but you gotta keep in mind that everything I say is gonna be very raw. So you're gonna hear the set that I am on. First of all, the set that I have up right now, it's in a bedroom, and you hear the cars outside, and that's what it is right now. So I try to hold off as much as I could before I started recording. So if you hear that, my bad. And hopefully you focus on what I'm about to say other than the background noise. But just to keep it real raw, I gotta tell you a little bit of why you hear what you hear. But standing alone is valuable. Let me repeat that. Standing alone is valuable. And by that I mean, for example, if you're a song and you're strong, or even if you're, I guess the more so picture is, if it's a strong, you're able to stand alone. If it's a weak song, it's not so much you're able to stand alone, because people don't see you as a good song, you know what I mean? Let's just say if you were a song, okay? Obviously you're not a song. But that's an example I kind of see. The reason I say standing alone is valuable, besides the example I gave, is because when you're creating or anything that's like what I'm doing now, when things fall out of place and you're scheduled to do something and you're counting on somebody, or just different things in life, and you still got to do it because if you don't do it, you fall off. Like, you fall out of rhythm, you fall out of this and that, you know what I mean? Like, you have to do it. And this is one of those times. Like, the majority of the times you set up things and sometimes they don't go through, and then you try to set up other things to replace those things, but those things don't go through. You gotta stand alone, and in order to stand alone, you gotta push, motivate yourself, keep that positive energy, or if you have negative energy, use it so you can get through it, so you can get through what is like right in front of you, you know what I mean? So standing alone is valuable. It's super quiet, and you probably could hear everything going on because right now I have it on only one mic, so the other mic is turned off. But for some reason, I hear it way louder than I usually do. And then for some reason, like every little sound, like the breathing, the breathing sounds that I'm making, you can hear it like very clear. So, and then the door. But yeah, standing alone is valuable. Remember that. Stand up for yourself. You don't need anybody. Well, I mean, sometimes you do, but as far as business, sometimes people create businesses that you need people to do things, but when you do them yourself, or when you're able to start off and show yourself that's valuable, that you're doing it, it's more valuable than you think, rather than having somebody next to you. But that always adds to it, so don't get me wrong. Like, if you're doing an interview or if you're creating a video, or if the more people, the better. That's pretty much what it is. Another thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about is encouraging you to learn about what you don't know, as far as things that you're not familiar with and the way other people live. So for example, if you live a certain way and you see this kid over here has $1 million and you're trying to figure him out, and maybe, I mean, it's different like how that is, but I guess like in a general term, if you see somebody that lives with a certain condition or whatnot, you want to kind of like study up on things that are out there on the internet as far as why certain people act the way they do. Or it's always good to do some research and, open the book, think about it, and stop trying to guess, because it's kind of sucks when you end up researching after the fact that you are going on and commenting about, things that are going on and things that you have no idea about. And it's just like reassurance is what I'm saying. That's what people need. They need reassurance. Because if you don't know about something, it's better to kind of research. I always like to go to YouTube. So that's one thing that kind of like I encourage you to do. Do research, open a book, open that web browser, Google why people shake their legs so much. You know what I mean? You don't want to make fun of them if they're shaking their leg for a reason that they can't help, or a reason that for somebody to look in a certain way. Google it. Why does somebody not have or born with ears? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I encourage you to kind of get into and gain some knowledge, kind of figure it out a little bit more rather than just jumping at it. Because some people are just born with certain things. Some people, things happen to them throughout their life and then you can't do anything, or they can't do anything. So research before you say anything. I mean, obviously there's comments and it's good to comment on things, or good to speak your mind, but it's even better if you know more than what you're saying about what you're talking about. It's kind of more valuable that way to everybody that's listening, you know what I mean? Or everybody involved in the situation. It's been I feel like every time I talk like on the podcast, I'm like trying to think of like back when I like finished the other podcast or the previous podcast, and I'm like, after that podcast I had so much other stuff to say within an hour after, and I wanted to save it for the next podcast or whatever's gonna happen next, or save it for a certain guest or whatnot, and I always forget. I always forget to like think about it, and then for some reason like there's just like random stuff just popping up in my head right now to talk about, like motivation and the last straw in situations and stuff like that. So like as far as the last straw, what I mean is when to give up. It's different for everybody. Different situations, different people. What's meant to be is meant to be. That kind of situation. So like for me, I believe is what's meant to be is meant to be. But obviously, you don't know until you die, right? You don't know what's meant to be until you go through the future. Or you don't know what's meant to be until you go through life. So it's kind of hard, but I believe what's meant to be is meant to be, and what's going to happen is going to happen. And I'm supposed to be where I'm at right now doing this podcast. or you know what I mean? It shows us a lot about life. So that's what I believe. As far as the last straw, so for example, right, if you're in a relationship, you're living with them or whatnot, or for example, that's super deep. So let's take it back a little bit. If you're, working at work and you're dealing with your boss kind of like giving you shit all the time or about the most random stuff, like when's the last straw? When's the time to speak up? When's the time to move on and get another job? When's the time? That kind of thing. And it's different every time. But the most important thing and the way to deal with situations like this, specifically at a job, know that you're valuable or know what your value is and know where your heart is at, because that's always going to kind of determine where you're supposed to be in life. For example, like me, if I was put in that situation, like I will know what I can take, I will know what I should take. Only you know what's right for yourself. Don't take the bullshit all the time. Don't take the people talking about you like that all the time. And by all the time, I mean, I don't know, maybe once is fine, right? You give it a chance. Because chances are always given sometimes, right? Throughout life. But after that chance is done, you want to kind of open your mind to the fact that things might not change. You might need to go on. There might be better out there for you. The job that you're going to get next might pay you more than it is paying you now. Open your mind to the ideas of what if or the options that you might have that you don't know yet until you make your next move. If it was me, I probably wouldn't put up with it. It's the kind of like discipline that you have in your mind and the way you set your goals and the way you set your life up. If you go through so much, you only have so much patience at the end of everything you've been through. If you're barely starting, it's almost the same mindset because you haven't been through it, so you don't know what to or how to act. I don't know. I guess it's just the person. But if I were you and you were me, you would not take what shouldn't be given to you. And that's real. Go get that check somewhere else. Go get that bag somewhere else. Hopefully I'm making sense with what all I'm saying right now, because it's just like it's in my mind it's kind of heavy and it's stuff that's kind of valuable and stuff that I've been wanting to talk about. So understand what I'm saying. It's kind of like I'm trying to talk about it as I'm thinking about it. And I'm trying to give it to you really raw. It sounds all weird. It sounds weird like I say it like that, but I'm trying to give it to you as it's coming to my mind. That way, the way I'm thinking about it is probably the way you're thinking about it. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying. We're about 15 minutes or so into this podcast. So hopefully it's a little bit kind of like stimulating your mind to think and open up. And let's get into something a little bit lighter than these kind of like deep conversations. So this week my daughter's been asking to be on the podcast, right? And she doesn't say it like, "Oh, Dad, let me be on the podcast." She's like, "Dad, are we gonna do a podcast today?" And she said it like ever since we've made the first one, so about a month ago. She said it probably like maybe like 3 or 4 times or less, but I say like 3 or 4 times. I'm thinking about making another podcast with her. I just don't know when. So she's hopefully gonna be coming back, and she's gonna spice it up like always. I want to do a couple of other podcasts as far as featuring old friends, and that's gonna kind of be like the main point of the majority of the podcasts that I do, is bringing light to what I've been through or what other people been through around me. Um, I've been trying to connect with older friends, and what better way to talk about things that we've been through or things that we're struck with than the podcast. Look at the name, you know what I mean? The homies advice, like, it's just perfect. And besides my friends, I just want to kind of continue and build like some foundation that's gonna kind of set the tone for everything that's happening now. And hopefully you see, as you start hearing all these podcasts, that these are kind of like close people in my life now, or was close to me at the time, because I haven't had any like strangers on this podcast, you know what I mean, as far as people that I've never talked to. So it's always going to be, hopefully I'm saying this now, it's always going to be somebody that I know or known or connected with somehow. But if they're any kind of motivational talking or anything like that, or they're family of some family or stuff like that, that's always dope to get on, especially because I want to hear what they got to think about in their brain, because there's a lot of people in this world that probably need to be throw a little bit of spice on and kind of like think about other things other than what's going on right now. They kind of need to get motivated, because I know sometimes I do. So it's always good to crack somebody else's mind and get a little bit of what they're thinking. Pretty much. Oh, damn. That's loud, dude. Hopefully you can't hear all that. Yeah, you're going to be able to hear it, because I hear it loud. I hear it loud and people are talking in the background. So yeah, know when to give up. Standing alone is valuable. And I encourage you so much to do some research on things that you don't know about or things that you want to talk bad about. Like, I encourage you so much, because I know some people's minds are processed or kind of like wanting to like talk bad, and it's hard, like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to know more, but at the same time, like, who's pushing you to go do the research? But Google's there. Google's your friend. Google it, do a little bit more research, read about it. If you don't like the internet, there's always the library. If you don't like the library, I don't know what to tell you, but keep your ears open. And keep your ears open, keep your eyes open. Sometimes keep your mouth closed or open if necessary. This is the homies advice, and this is the short podcast. See you guys next week, and stay tuned to the next one. Hopefully it's a little bit better. You know what? I actually have a guest coming on. We're creating another podcast, I want to say in 2 days, and that one's going to be a treat for me as well. It's going to be about some motivational talk, some ground up work, some multi-job kind of person. And stay tuned to the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hearing on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, just to be clear. Google Podcasts, all of them. I think there's like 4 more that is distributed to. If you don't know, audio every Wednesday, video every Friday. thehomiesadvice.com if to find any and all information currently. Thank you guys for watching or hearing. Stay motivated, stay blessed, stay up. Peace out.